It's the SawCast. The real people speak that real shit on real topics, and I go by the name of Stevo.
And I'm Aerial. What the fuck you do, y'all? Today we got a special guest, Lauryn.
Hello. Hi. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh my
Yes,
goodness,
we're
we are
excited
so
to have
happy
you.
that you're here.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
Lauryn
you.
is here to talk to us about church and being a church kid and what that means and where she is on her journey, because it's been a while. Like, you've been separated kind of from your family, like not, like under them.
Right.
You've been separated for like how many? 4 or 5 years?
Almost 10 years now.
Oh, it's been 10.
Yeah, because I moved here I moved to Texas in 2016.
Wow.
So in June of 2016. So that's how long.
I feel like that's going to
know.
give a different perspective now
Yes.
on the whole situation, because you've been separated from them. You got your own
A
mind.
decade.
For so
I know.
long,
For so
yeah.
long. It's kind of scary, but I'm excited.
It's kind of scary. What
Yeah.
you excited? Okay.
Yeah. Let's get into it then.
Yeah, for
First
sure.
question is, what is your definition of a church kid?
I think a church kid there's multiple layers to it. Like, there's different types of church kids. The overall general definition, in my opinion, is someone who grew up in the church. So spent majority of their childhood in the church. And then, like I said, there's different layers. So you have a preacher's kid who is inevitably a church kid because their father or mother is a preacher. And then you have someone, in my case, who is, I say it like an extension of a preacher's kid, because my mom is a direct preacher's kid. So her dad was a preacher. My grandfather is then a preacher. And now my uncle is a preacher.
Okay.
But I was literally practically born in the church. I think my mom's water broke in church. Like, I know for a fact I was born on a Sunday, but I'm pretty
What?
sure her water broke at church. So I spent most of my childhood in church.
Okay, so Pastor Sullivan is your grandfather, right?
Yes, so there's
Okay.
two Pastor Sullivans.
Okay.
We have Dr. Kenneth Eugene Sullivan Sr. Such a long name. Papa. So Papa is my grandfather, Kenneth Eugene Sullivan Sr., and then Kenneth Eugene Sullivan Jr. is my uncle. So they're both Kenneth Sullivan, but one's my uncle, one's my grandfather. And so
Okay.
the one that you all, I would say, probably know is Papa, the one who
Yes.
founded
Yes.
the school and all
Yeah.
that. So yeah, that's
for sure.
Papa. Yeah.
sure.
Fun fact, when we were growing up, from kindergarten to 5th grade, we went to Lauryn's grandfather's school. He built a black school in the middle of the, kind of like the hood, like 38th Street.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
And it was like
Accelerated
it is-
learning.
I said it was. It
If
is
you know, you
one
know.
of the best schools in the world, like that has ever been created.
Thank
Everybody was a black. Like, it was all black teachers.
Yeah.
Yes.
The teachers were very intelligent. We went to church every day. We were involved. They had different things for us to do.
Yep.
Right.
We
Arts
were
and
very
crafts,
smart.
sports.
They made sure that
Hey, Black History
they
Month.
pushed
Yes.
black history on us.
Yes.
We know our history a lot. We are very
Ring that
intelligent
bell.
kids.
Right.
I think we all went to like our respectable schools after that, like
Yeah.
being the top of the schools.
No, and
facts.
it's funny y'all say
No
that
facts.
because there's so many. I feel like any person in Indiana, they know. You either know Little Duckling Daycare, you know North Star Christian Academy, like, you know these schools. But the kids who went to them, they all say that same thing. Like, it changed my life. I feel like I'm a better human being, a better adult. I accelerated when I went to public school because of the school that I went to. And I think it's because they were a Christian academy. He had the autonomy to create his own curriculum over the school and incorporate Jesus and incorporate your colors and your numbers. And so there was a lot of self-control in it, and I think he knew the process, he knew the system. Nana was the educator, but he knew what to do to implement a good school system for kids in an urban city. And so I think that's what made it so successful was, again, his autonomy over both North Star and Little Duckling.
Okay, so he had full control over everything that went on in that school.
Pretty much down to even the
Wow.
curriculum. Like,
Makes
I
sense.
remember the days of him writing the curriculum. I was at home like with him, and we were watching Andy Griffith, and I'm in the bed and Nana's cooking pork chops, but he's literally writing out the curriculum that these kids are still using to this day. And it's a really cool journey because, you know, to y'all, he is Kenneth Eugene Sullivan Sr. But to
He's
me,
Pastor Sullivan to
right,
us.
he's
That's
still
my Pastor
Papa.
Sullivan.
Like, he's still my Papa. Even Uncle Kenneth, like I say, Uncle Pastor, because now that I'm older, I see him as a pastor for real.
Right.
But he's still my uncle. And so it's been really cool to see kind of both sides of them and who they are, knowing the impact that they have on, people like y'all and the city, but also that impact that they have on me too.
Awesome.
sense.
So what does it mean to be saved in your opinion?
So I've had to kind of
Do you consider yourself saved as well?
Yes, I do consider myself saved. I've had to rework that definition, not just for myself, but for those around me as well. Because growing up as a church kid and growing up and seeing a lot of the behind the scenes of the church, I think you're taught what being saved means. It means going to church every single day, going to Bible study, reading your word, praying, trying to live a life not just like God, but truly like God, if that makes sense. Like you are trying to be what he was.
10 Commandments, all that good stuff.
Exactly. But I've had to rework that definition and give myself grace. And in my opinion, I think being saved is truly when you hear at the church, or if you go to church and you hear them say, have you given your life to God? And whatever that might look like for you as an individual. And so that's why I say, yes, I consider myself saved because I have given my life to God. But on the flip side, being fully honest, I have not been water baptized.
That's
What?
interesting.
I know.
Newsflash.
Church
I know.
kid and not being baptized is
Diabolical.
crazy.
Diabolical.
Houseway.
So it's because, again, when I was in church when I was a kid, I'm there to do the Easter sermon or then read the announcements. Then I grew up and became the kid who was singing on the praise team. Then I transitioned into being the girl who was doing the slideshow while the pastor preached. So it's not, and these are all excuses, but my church experience when I was younger, it was very role serving, if that makes sense. I wanted to fill a gap, fill a need that I felt was present in our church, because at the end of the day, this is exactly. It's a community, but it's also my family's church. And so when you feel a gap in your family, you want to fill it. And so I was always so busy when they are doing baptism. I'm so busy getting the information on the backhand, making sure I'm singing Wade in the Water while people are being baptized, that not saying I can't participate, but I can't. And then now my reasoning is some days it's I don't want to get my hair wet, to be quite honest. And then other days it's I know that I'm saved, yes, but I don't want to do that yet because I know that there are better things that I need to do as a saved Christian before I get water baptized. I feel like I owe that to God to say, look, I am on this Christian journey. I am on this saved journey with you. I'm not fully there. It's kind of like getting married. You don't want to walk into a marriage if you aren't fully ready for that marriage. And I'm fully ready for that relationship with God, but I feel like that it wouldn't be fair to him to say, look, I'm cleansing myself, removing my flesh, removing all the sins that I have, and now trying to truly walk in you if I can't do that yet.
No, that's deep. And considering the fact that you take it so seriously, that's a part of kind of what I be saying sometimes is I don't think people take certain things like that as serious as they are. So do you think the reason why you take it so seriously because you grew up in the church and you kind of understand it might have more seriousness to you and more impact to you because you're kind of like it was in your family, so it was like more so like you knew the ins and the outs, and it's a deeper understanding and meaning for you than like just the average church.
The average, right? And I would say it is. Like you said, it's a deeper understanding. I truly know the meaning. That's why I use that comparison of getting married. Like that's often used from pastors. But I know the meaning of being water baptized. And so I think, yes, it is my family that kind of has that or helped me be so serious about it, but it's also me now, if that makes sense. And me knowing, especially my pastor now, I love my pastor. It's Embassy City Church here in Dallas. And so I love him. And when he says water baptized, he was actually the first person that I think I heard the phrase water baptized. Growing up, I just heard baptized.
I thought it was baptized.
Exactly.
Yeah, facts, yeah.
And when he said water baptized, that's when it hit me. I was like, like you said, I just always thought it was baptized, but he said water baptized. And I was like, this is really something serious. Like, it's a true commitment. You are dipping yourself into water with the hope that you are coming up a totally different person. And I don't want to do that knowing that I might
be a totally different.
Listen, I might be a little different.
I might backslide.
But okay.
I might
and
backslide
so
after 6 months.
I don't know when that will be, but I know that God will. Again, I'm on this journey with him right now, so I know he will tell me, okay, you are ready. This is you. I am with you. You are strong enough in this walk with me to where you can now be water baptized, knowing you are coming up a different person.
Okay. So what was it like being a church kid? Like, did people have perceptions of you?
Yes.
Okay. Talk about that.
And it was, so I loved being a church kid. I don't think I really realized I was a church kid until I got older, but I loved being a church kid because of exactly what you said earlier. It was in an urban city. If you know East 38th Street, you know. It's a little different now. We just went a couple of weeks ago, and it's a little more gentrified now, but
A little bit, just a little.
Just a pinch.
Right.
Just a pinch. But growing up, my parents, we lived in Fishers, Indiana, which is a complete opposite. It's a predominantly white city. My friends at school were all white. My longest running friend is white. I spent most of my time in a very white environment. Church for me was my escape from that. It was what helped me become very well-rounded, to know people who weren't as white, or to know people who have a different way of thinking, to know people who might be struggling. Like, that's what church was for me, was to know a different side of what I had at home. And then it was also what you said earlier, a community. It's tough because I don't like saying I was known at church because of my family, but there were always friends. Just like there were always haters, there were always friends. I had
haters.
Oh, of course.
church?
Like, I vividly remember there was one girl who said, "You think you're better than us just because your uncle is the pastor." And I was like, yes, my uncle is the pastor. That I can't change that. Like, there's literally nothing I can do about that. But I don't think I'm better than you. In fact, I probably have more struggles than you realize because my uncle is the pastor. I have eyes on me like no other. Like, going to Castleton, seeing people who know me because my uncle is the pastor. I can't just go to Forever 21 like normal. And so it's not me thinking I'm better. It's just me being who I am in this church. So there was always a balance, because there was always these perceptions that I had to figure out how to navigate. And that was a struggle growing up, to be honest. But I did love it. Like, I loved the escape that.
How did they perceive you, though, like, in church? Because, I think church kids are kids whose grandfathers or dads or, moms or whatever are part of the church. They have certain views of you guys. How was you treated and stuff like that?
So it's tough because I am the oldest of all 8. So there's 8 grandchildren total. And so I think I didn't set the standard, but more so I came first. So all the expectations were put on me first. But I was never I think there's a cliche of a church kid, like this wild church kid who on the surface, they love God, but then on the back end, they're doing all these crazy things. And I was never that. And I think they knew that. Like, people at church knew, okay, she's not drinking, she's not smoking, she's not doing anything at this young age because she just genuinely has no desire to. I was reading books. And so there was this snootiness aspect that I had to deal with because I was coming from a predominantly white, upper middle class town, and I'm going to a city where they might not know where their meal is coming from that night. And so there was this.
That's great emotional intelligence.
And that's something that I'm having to deal with at young as 5 because I've always been in that city. Like I've always lived there. And so there was always this, I'm aware I'm driving 30 minutes to another completely different area with a completely different set of kids. And that's something that I'm going to have to navigate. And that's how they perceived me. You think you're better than us because you're coming literally from a different town than we are. But your uncle is also the pastor. So how is that fair? You know?
Right. And you were, when we spoke previously, you were saying like the 2 identities. You kind of touched.
Yeah, she basically touched on that.
Yeah. And so
bit.
that's where.
So is that kind of what you were saying, like the identity of home and the identity
That's what I was saying. And
or is it something more to elaborate?
It's funny because if you were to ask me at what age do you think you realized you were a church kid, I would probably tell you it wasn't until I moved to Texas. And that's, I know. And that's only because growing up, so my mom, like I said earlier, my mom is the PK. So my mom, the uncle that I'm referencing is my mom's brother. That maiden name is Sullivan. So growing up, I kind of grew up as Lauryn Sullivan and didn't know who Lauryn Cobb was. And so that's why it never hit me that you are a church kid, because I was just growing up as Lauryn Sullivan. Lauryn Sullivan is a church kid. Lauryn Cobb is a kid who goes to church because she loves God, if that makes sense. There's a total difference between the two.
There's 2 identities.
And so that's where those 2 identities kind of come into play. Lauryn Sullivan, it's not me playing a role, but I was, like I said, I was raised in the church, born in the church. So I have to naturally love people, be accepting of people, love all, because you never know who you could be bringing to Christ. But naturally, I'm an introvert. I don't like people. If I could hermit at home, and people are like,
for her to say that.
and people say that all the time. That's so, like, I can't believe that. And it's because I know how to be social only because of church. Like, I know how to step outside of who I really am because of how I was raised and the environment that I was raised in.
You having to balance those 2 people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I've actually told my therapist this. Not saying that I feel like I have multiple personality disorder, but that there's multiple Lauryns that make up who I am as a whole.
Right.
I mean, that's understandable because I feel like we all have different versions of ourselves. I don't think we maybe say, different last names unless like a woman was married and she was married for a long time or something like that. But so when you came here and you said that's when you noticed, is that when you started going by Lauryn Cobb? Was that like a self-inflicted thing?
Yeah, especially because
you wanted like my own identity kind of?
It was an own identity, and kind of back to what I was referencing earlier. When I say I could not go in the city without people, even down to...
I mean, you do look like your family,
I look like my family, but
Facts.
even so, I'm referencing Fishers, Indiana. I actually went to high school with a preacher's kid, and his dad is very close with my uncle. Like, they are very close. So even at school, I'm having to deal with that. And so I don't think I had the opportunity to know who I was, like to know, okay, let me figure out not who Lauryn Cobb is, but just who Lauryn is.
Right. Who am I outside
who
of
am
my
I?
family?
Exactly.
Because your family is a strong family
We are
in Indianapolis.
Traditional.
Yes.
Routine.
Yeah. And by the book. And they're an amazing, like,
They're great. Yeah.
I would not change them for the world. But again, I'm also the first grandchild, so I felt like there were a lot of things that I did wrong and a lot of things that I didn't get to do until I became, okay, who is Lauryn? And with that, this is actually who Lauryn Cobb is.
Right.
Even if that includes a pinch of Lauryn Sullivan, Lauryn Cobb is this person specifically.
Do you think you had to abide by certain rules in church because you were a church kid?
Not rules that were like said, but okay.
Like,
so
you had to be like super holy. You know what I'm
I
saying?
am
Or
very
you couldn't cuss.
You couldn't
right.
cuss, right.
No, never cuss. Never. You would never curse. But I think I'm very respectful, if that makes sense. I'm naturally a very respectful person. So it's not that I had a set of rules like, okay, when we go to church, you can't do this, this, or this. Remember, you can't wear this, this, or that. It was more so I just wasn't going to anyways. I had rules at home, though. But again, they were things that I probably wouldn't have done. Like, my best friend will say all the time, SpongeBob references, because she grew up on SpongeBob. She loved SpongeBob. I don't know, cannot
you
tell
watch
you.
it?
I couldn't watch it, so I cannot tell you a
That's what I'm at,
single
yeah.
line from SpongeBob.
So you can watch Friday. And...
No, I just watched Friday as an adult.
Since when? When the first time you watched Friday?
Since y'all know my house.
Yeah.
That was where I watched Friday for the first time. So
Lauryn Cobb.
I know.
Lauryn Cobb.
I know. But it's tough because again, I think a part of me just I wouldn't have done it anyways. Like, I genuinely enjoyed VeggieTales. I liked it.
I like that too.
Okay, broccoli,
Right.
celery. Anyways, like
Right before time. and stuff?
Okay.
Okay.
The
That
Prince
was
of
cool.
Egypt is a great movie.
That was fire. That was one of my
It's
favorites.
a fire
One of my
movie.
favorites.
And so I think even if I had been, because my mom was very,
Wait. You went to a township school as well, right?
yes.
So you went to a township school. You didn't go to your family
Well,
school.
and it's funny, I never went. So I went to Little Duckling.
Okay.
But I went up until I was in kindergarten. Then we moved to Virginia. I was there until 3rd grade. Then I went to public school because by that time,
Which was basically township.
which
though.
was township. I went
Fishers.
to yes,
Okay.
and so
You wasn't in the hood school
no,
either.
no.
Right.
You wasn't
that
in
make a
no,
difference,
I
too.
wasn't exactly.
And you're the oldest.
Like I grew
Right.
So
up.
there wasn't an older
There was-
cousin to show you stuff either.
Right. Like I do have
There you go.
3 older siblings, but they're my dad's kids. And they're my siblings, they're my sisters and my brother. Like I love them like my siblings, but they spent their time with their mom.
Right.
They might know the shows, but I don't. And so I literally grew up
So
on Hannah
interesting.
Montana, That's So Raven.
He was a Disney kid.
I was a Disney kid, but I think there was again a good balance, even if I had wanted to, because my mom, I think she wanted to be like, I'm a cool mom. And so I had my first piercing at 13. And now I have 13 piercings and 8 tattoos. And so it's little things like that where I couldn't watch SpongeBob, but she would let me do things like
Okay,
that. So
yeah.
it's
Cool, nice balance.
she had a balance.
Nice
She had a
balance.
balance. She was great at that.
Why they ain't let you watch SpongeBob?
I'm ready.
So she
Like,
will
could
tell
watch
you
Harry Potter too.
there was one specific
SpongeBob a
episode
little fried. He
where
got a
I
little fried at the
listen, I guess so.
He
There
got a
was
little
one
fried.
specific episode where I guess SpongeBob and Patrick were pretending to be,
Oh.
and so she just, and I get it because
I do too.
For
as
sure.
a
She's doing
mom,
what she's supposed to
she
do.
was doing, and
Check.
it's so funny.
Some of that stuff we was not supposed to see.
We were not supposed to see,
You hear
and
me?
I text them all the time because I have a friend that I met here in Dallas who she told me, I'm jealous of the relationship that you have with God. You seem like you have your own relationship with God, even outside of your family. And she was like, my family didn't teach me God, so I don't know Jesus. I don't know Christian. I don't know going to church, and I'm jealous of that. And I text my parents all the time, thank you for not just instilling God in me because I'm a church kid, but because that's something that a value that I should really have. Like, I'm very appreciative of the things that they did growing up.
Has church changed since you were younger? In your
For
opinion?
sure.
How?
Even the church that my uncle's church has changed since growing up. I mean, even down to the name. It used to be Charity Christian Center. Now it's New Direction. I think what changed is you have to change with the time. It's kind of like you can't just stay back in the long skirts and Pentecostal days and the tambourine
For
and there's
sure.
food plates in the back after service. Like, you can't do that
Absolutely.
anymore.
if you want people to come to your
If
church.
you want people to come to your church.
people to attend.
But I do think we are starting to get too far from
I think so
the
too.
point of church as well, when you have people flying in the air or you, like, one of my requirements when I walk into a church, I have to see an organ. I don't know why that is. And I'm not talking about a piano. I mean an actual organ.
This is so insane
Not
for you
an
to say
organ
this.
feature, organ.
Because this is insane for her to say this. You know
Mm-hmm.
why? She was the kid in that church. But remember when we was Des too. I
Mm-hmm.
know Des is out there. Shout out to Des. But when we was going to North Star, our favorite part of the service was the singing part. Des,
sure.
remember?
Yeah.
And
sure.
we, to the point where we got them at some point, we over exaggerate the singing part so much that they stopped preaching.
No,
at one
for sure.
point.
Yeah.
For sure.
And,
For
but
sure.
the fact
those
that
are
you
my
said
favorite
the
services.
fact that you said the organ is crazy because the organ was like the most important part
Yes.
of the
The funniest part,
singing.
yeah.
Well, and we've even because now I just need to see
Like
an
y'all's
organ.
church is really good with the music.
Yes, but I miss the organs because the organ that I grew up on, like the piano player, the
Yes.
bass of it was an
Yeah,
actual piano
for
too.
sure.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
he
It
had
was
to
serious.
push.
Step on it,
It was a
yeah.
serious
Yeah.
organ.
It was
Real.
amazing.
And
Real
so
deal.
I need to see that. I'm
Feel
cool
the
with
room.
walking into a church and the lights are down and I see strobe lights as long as I see an organ. If I don't see an organ, then I'm like, okay,
You gotta have real
Okay,
musical professionals
real
in
musical-
there
because-
y'all's church they play.
Exactly, because it's cool to sing the Spirit Lead Me. Like, it's cool to sing the Oceans and it's cool to sing the Maverick City, but I also want the Fred Hammond and
It
the
feels
Kirk
good.
Franklin and
It
the
hit
Mary
your
Mary.
soul.
It hits your soul because when that anointing moves through the room, sometimes you just don't need music, but you need the spiritual warfare music as well.
Absolutely.
Not an electric guitar, in my
So-
opinion.
That's hilarious. But do you think the standard that we hold preachers to is realistic?
Yes and no. I think, again, so with the church has become so modern, I think preachers have become so modern as well. They are pushing the limits with what they're getting away with. The example that I can think of is comparing like Boaz saying cheap ass, broke ass. Like I don't want I want a Boaz man. I don't want a cheap ass man. And there's a very prominent pastor who said that. And he's saying it as a play on words of Boaz, but I think the expectation is just say I don't want a guy. Like there's this expectation to still follow the rule of the Bible, still follow the standard of being a preacher. Don't go too far, but I get the point of trying to be
Too vulgar.
relatable.
Yes,
It's a little
to
bit vulgar.
It's a little vulgar.
Yeah.
It's a little
It
vulgar.
is.
It's a little too far.
Especially
It did
how
not used to be
he
like
crossed the
that.
line.
Okay,
He
because
crossed
I
the
made sure
line.
to say the Z when I just said it now. But when
Right.
he said it,
He
you
didn't.
you can't really hear that Z. And so I think there still needs to be a higher expectation of over pastors because I say all the time, not everybody can be a pastor. I think there's this new expectation like you can apply for being a pastor like you apply for Wendy's job. And that's just not the case. But you have to, so because of that, you have to hold these pastors to an expectation. I hold my pastor to a standard. If I ever see something or feel something from him that makes me uncomfortable, I'm like, okay, I'm out of here. And that's because I am on my own walk with God. I can't have you slipping me up as a leader that I'm supposed to follow. But I also want him to connect with me. I don't want him like that pastor is a little old too. Like we don't do that anymore. So again, you want to change with the time, but still hold yourself to a standard.
Gotcha.
For sure. And I also
Makes
feel
sense.
like, it's a lot of things that's okay in the church that wasn't
Okay.
Okay.
And it's in the Bible that says it's not okay.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna go too
Yeah.
deep into it,
But
Right.
y'all know. If y'all,
Y'all
know,
listen,
y'all know.
and
You heard
it's-
me? Goddamn.
It's crazy
and just
because
for people to come and give their money.
And-
It was used to just be like for community for real. Like
for community. Well, and that's another thing that
Yeah,
I
for
just
community versus for profit.
for
man.
profit. And I love another reason I love the church that I go to, there is not a set offering time. Like you will not hear him say, okay, we're about to do offering. There's no passing of the plates, but you want to give. Like I genuinely have
That
already
was what it used to be about.
That's what it used to be about. But I want to set up my 10% in tithe because there isn't this set time to give, this expectation of closing the doors. Like, hey, you have to give
No, for real.
2026. So like there's this no expectation. So I genuinely want to. But I think you also have to, again, remind people this is not the expectation of being a Christian, but the Bible says to tithe. And so that's what you should do if you are ready. But that's, again, taking me back to why I haven't been baptized yet. If I can't consistently tithe, then I'm not ready to consistently be
But
baptized.
I feel like a part of that scripture was talking about, what I'm saying, it's you're naturally going to do that because we're in a community. This is our church. I can come to them for therapy. I can come to
Right.
them for assistance if I don't have food for my kids or something like that.
Right.
It's really like a community. So it makes sense for me to give to this place.
To this place,
So
right.
I
It's
think
given to the community.
Yeah, like it's it's just a natural thing that you're going to do.
And you have to.
And so now they're not sometimes they don't offer all of that and are not more sincere like they used to be on offering that. Yeah. So then it's different. It's not, you don't want to give your tithes as easily as back then. Like back then it was like, oh, for sure, because I'm getting a lot out of my church, you know?
Well, and you have to see what you're, not necessarily saying see where your money is going.
Yeah.
No, for real.
Seriously.
If I think that my money is going into your Gucci suit, there's nothing I can do about that. I have yet to see, to be honest, I don't know what name brand my pastor wears. It gives Target sometimes, and I love that. He looks great, but it's normal. Like he looks normal. Even with my uncle, he'll be very put together, but you're not about to see him bust out in a Louis Vuitton outfit, and that's because at the end of the day, he has a food pantry that he is genuinely trying to start. East 38th Street Renaissance is something that he is very passionate about, like changing not just his church, but the entire street of East 38th Street is his plan to change that. And so I think you have to see where your money is going in order to support it. And if you see, okay, it's going back to, like you said, that community, it makes you want to do it.
So why do you think less people attend church now? I think we kind of touched on it a little bit, but
because it's changed so much.
I think it's different from what the Bible say a little bit.
It's different, and it's just, you don't know. I hate to say this, but you don't know what you're going to get from church. And you don't know what you're going to get even from the church that you might go to every single Sunday. Like a prime example, as much as I love my church, last week we went and it was a guest pastor. And I wasn't aware. It's not like I should have been told. It's not like they should have made like a social media post. Hey, y'all, there's going to be a guest pastor. But when I walked in, there was a guest pastor, and I had to rework what I was going in as. Because now here's this guest pastor. I might not know her. I might not be comfortable with her preaching. And when you were growing up, when I grew up, there was not a single Sunday that my uncle missed. And that's what I was used to, getting the same pastor every single Sunday. And so I think that's why it's changed so much. And then there's also, I think people don't realize that it's become more accepting. I was actually talking about this with one of my friends. She believes in God. She wants to, I think, go to church, but because she's gay, she's not going. And her partner wants her to go to church. Her partner's going to church, and it almost broke them up.
That is a very interesting thing for me.
I don't know. Because, again, even when we were at church last week, I saw a homosexual couple, and I will be honest, I don't think I ever saw growing up.
We did not see that.
I did not see. You could not have told me I would see a gay person at church. And I don't think I saw my first gay person until I got to Texas, to be honest. Like,
outwardly.
Outwardly, for
and
sure.
so you're not going to see it. It took a minute. It took a minute. Because, again, I went to a white school, so they weren't there. And so it's just...
Indiana,
we were in Indiana, exactly.
Not back then.
Not back then, and so
if they was a closet.
I think people don't go because they don't realize. Okay, we're not that same church where if you are gay, we're gonna close the doors. You're like, it's just not that anymore. We are a little bit more accepting. We're a little bit more opening. Now you might still hear a sermon that says it's wrong.
It's in the Bible.
And it's in the Bible, and that's because at the end of the day, the church has to preach the Bible, but a lot of people, I think, are afraid of the church that they used to know. That's why they don't go.
I agree.
Or I think COVID did a number on a group of religious people, and it told them, I can just go to church at home. Like, why would I go if I can just watch it from my TV while I'm doing whatever? Or they're just afraid to start that journey and to put some of their sinful ways down if they fully become a Christian.
I also think another point is, I think more people are educated, and then they are able to read the Bible and find little things in there that they don't quite understand. And I feel like sometimes with preachers, they're not that willing to educate in a way that if it seems combative to them, like if you're like, if they preaching in a certain way and that's not the way that you understand it, maybe it's a little bit combative and they don't want to go back and forth with you, so they don't want to teach you.
Exactly.
Back then they were maybe, and that's how it used to be, like you said, maybe because they think about how it used to be. Because back then they used to be like, it is what it is. Like the elders used to be like, it is what it is, and that's what they say.
This how our community
and you had
is.
to respect
And a lot of times, it's
Exactly.
their interpretation of what they're reading versus educating them on what's actually there. And I think they're like, oh, I'm about to get a lie, or I'm going to get their interpretation, and they're not going to be willing to hear how I feel, you know? So I think a little bit more with, like, people are just a little bit more educated, and they're like, I don't know, it's some hoes, and people aren't willing to educate them. Like, the older generation of preachers aren't willing to educate them. And I feel like with us, we probably would rather have an older preacher to preach us.
Yeah. I mean, and
so
it's because it's a
if
balance.
an older preacher can't preach me, you know?
Right. No, it's a balance. Like, my pastor
for sure.
is maybe in his 40s, but you can tell he was raised by an old pastor.
Right.
Same with my uncle. He's in his 40s, but he gives very old vibes because his dad was the pastor. And so I agree in that you want some of the oldness, or you want the comfort that we call them seasoned saints. I love the comfort that a good old seasoned saint can bring, because they humble you. They, like you said, they train you. You can learn so much from them that I think in today's day and age, we're not getting anymore. The older generation, they're not as easily accessible outside of church. And so it's a good thing to have that balance. But like you said, sometimes I do just want good old traditional.
Okay. So what size church do you prefer? Because I know there are mega churches.
Yes.
And I kind of felt like your family's church was a mega church to me, because I remember there was your church, there was like Eastern Star. And I feel like those were the two biggest ones. And then I think you said your uncle got New Direction. I know about New Direction. Our church was God's Love, but that was like a smaller.
Smaller.
Yeah, but what do you classify as a mega church, and what size church do you prefer?
So I would say mega church to me is anything like 5,000 and above.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's because
Dallas,
it's exactly, and maybe that is
mega.
my new definition,
Right.
because Dallas is full of mega churches. You cannot not see a mega church here in Dallas. But I would say 5,000 and above.
Okay.
And my preference is 3,000 and below. Only because when you hit that window where it's above 3,000, that's where you start becoming performative. There's a church that I am very aware of here in Dallas. We went because me and my best friend moved to Dallas, and we were, of course, looking for churches because we met at the church. And we've been friends for over a decade. And so we're looking for a church to go to. We find one based off suggestions. We walk in. I don't see an organ. I see a boat on stage. An actual boat. Then the next week, I see a bed on stage. And then the next, there are these props on stage, and that's because this is a mega church. There are 5,000 plus people. The pastor feels the need to have supporting evidence for what he's saying. Right. But here I am getting lost in, how did they get a boat through the door? To be quite honest, I'm not even listening to what he's saying because I'm getting so distracted in this being a mega church. But then I also don't want it to be too small, because that's, again, where you're losing that sense of community. That's where you might not hear the good singing, or it might be too traditional to where I might feel ashamed going with my tattoos out. So you need to, again, have a balance, but I think it's right in that 3,000, 1,000 to 3 window.
Has it ever been a time that you lost faith?
Yes. Especially when I did move to Dallas and really had to find God for myself. And as I got older, that's when I lost faith the most, because we know my family. My parents were married at 25. My grandparents were married at 20. I don't know a single woman in my family who was not married before the age of 25. Mm-hmm. Here I am, 28. No kids, no husband, no prospects.
You moved here 10 years ago, though.
And
right?
I did move here 10 years ago, but it was right around between 20 and 24 was my biggest struggle, because that was right around the time I was like, okay, like my timing, this is right around the time it happened for everyone else. And that made me question if I was living even a Christian life, because I don't have my husband. I don't have the guy who I'm going to church with. And so I did lose a lot of faith in God and lost a lot of, especially because I want kids. Like, that's the one thing that I desperately want. And as I'm getting older, I'm starting to feel like, not that it might not happen, but I'm like, God, like, I pray to you about everything, and everything else I pray to you about, I get.
Yeah.
This, why is it not happening?
Why
like,
is it so
what are we doing here,
delayed?
G? But
What's going on?
okay, what's going on? And so that's when I lost the most faith in him, feeling like what I'm really praying for, I'm not getting. So you're not listening to me. And then I didn't have my family. I didn't have the Christian aspect to remind me to go to church, because when you are a church kid and you are serving, quote unquote, a role, it's not a reminder. You just have to go to church, because if I don't go to church, we're not going to have a dinner on Sunday. And I'm here, like, I have to go. But here, I didn't have to go. Like, I wasn't serving a role. I didn't have to show up as part of the family. And so it allowed me to really pull back from him and be like, I am mad at you. We're going to have to see each other another time.
So what made you
Right. How you get over that?
regain your faith back?
Well, and that's why it kind of takes me back
You're
to...
still on your journey.
I'm still on my
There we
journey,
go.
yes, but it takes me back to my parents and thanking them, like, you know what, even if I do slip, even if I am mad at him, I still, at the end of the day, I know God. Like, that is one thing you cannot take away from me. I genuinely love Jesus. I genuinely love God. I genuinely love going to church. And so what took me back was that feeling of conviction. Like, I said it earlier, but I do feel convicted that I'm not water baptized. Like, I really do. I just know I'm not ready yet, but I feel convicted. So what will always, in my opinion, and that's why I think takes me back to that original question of, are you saved, or can you say you're saved? I'm saved because I will always feel convicted if I get too far. Gotcha. And I know when I've gotten too far. And so it's kind of like when you leave your parents for the first time, you know, when you've gotten too far, it's like, hey, Dad, I need to check back in with you. Or, hey, Mom, I miss you a little bit. Let's kind of reconnect. And so it's that relationship.
That's pretty dope. That's pretty dope.
Okay, Steven, do you think you saved?
Do I think I'm saved?
Yeah.
That's a good
Well, I mean, I got
We
water
know we
saved.
got water baptized.
It's on my refrigerator. My water saved is on my
water
refrigerator.
saved.
Multiple times? Was it one time?
One time.
Okay.
It was one time.
How old were you, if I can
I
ask?
think I was probably 6, the same age
You
I
was
was.
6?
We probably was both 6.
Nah, if you was 6, we got it at the around
Oh,
the
well,
same
then I
time.
was 8 then.
You was 8 and I
You
was
was probably
6.
6. You look
Yeah.
6 in
Okay.
that picture.
I do look 6 in that picture.
So
for
then
sure.
if we're going to go, then yes, because I was definitely younger and baptized, but I mean.
Oh, okay. You
so
mean
you
like
saying in
on
your
your
adult
own.
life.
When you pick
like,
your own.
You,
I
like,
agree with you.
Not
So you feel like
your
that's a
mama
difference?
took you to baptismal
Right.
Sunday.
You feel like
Okay.
that's a difference.
Okay, there's a difference.
Okay, so you did get baptized, Lauren. Just
Yes.
not on your
I
own.
mean, you can't be a
Well,
Sullivan
then,
and
well,
not
why
be
did you say
baptized.
that?
But I'm saying
You got the people out here thinking you
for
was a church kid.
myself, for myself. Of
Right.
course, my mom.
I feel what you're saying now.
I think that's christening.
Okay.
I consider
agree with
that to be christening.
I agree with that.
So baptism is you have truly yourself has said, look, look, God, Jesus, whatever you want to call him. I am choosing you. I am putting my whole life into you. Not your parents are literally making you go get baptized. People say christening is for babies. I consider anything, if your mom says, okay, we're going to go get you baptized, it's still christening, in my opinion.
I agree. Okay. We just want to make that clear.
Yes.
Okay, what's your favorite scripture?
Okay,
Mine's, I'll go first because I already know. Mine's is Jeremiah 3:33 or 33:3. But it says, call unto me and I will answer thee and show thee great mighty things. And that's, I started that when I was younger, and that's been my life the whole time. Anytime I've, got on my knees, pray, got my mind right, everything, things work out for me. Mm-hmm. So what about you? Like, what's your favorite scripture, Lauren?
Well, I have it actually tattooed. It's part of my
collection
of tattoos. But it's Philippians 4:13, and it's the tattoo is specifically a cross, but it's because at the end of the day, God is my strength. Like, when I am feeling weak, when I'm feeling low, when I'm feeling depressed, it is truly God. And so I struggle with depression and anxiety out of this world, like, believe it or not. But there's to the point where I even have had suicidal ideations. And I have told my therapist, sometimes I'm mad that I'm a Christian because I was raised on you cannot commit suicide because you don't even have the time to repent. And so you're going straight to hell if you commit suicide. So God has always been my reminder to be here on earth, my reminder that there's something bigger to live for, something greater. There's always something greater in store. So that's why it's Philippians 4:13 for sure.
Gotcha.
So go ahead.
They say that church people are judgmental. Now, do you believe that?
Yes, for sure. And I think not saying you have to be judgmental, but you have to know who to allow in your space as a Christian, because I do think that the devil will try to attack you and will try to deter you from your walk with God through a human. That's the easiest way to do it.
Amen.
And so you have to pick and choose.
Have boundaries.
But there's strict boundaries. But there are levels to being judgmental as well that I don't think I realized until I got older. Like, some of my closest friends, most of my friends are gay, to be quite honest. My best friend isn't. Y'all aren't.
Friends.
You've seen my friends. Most of them are.
Come on, me.
And most of them are.
We not, y'all.
Look, the three in this three friends aren't.
Here,
Right. Des, Ariel, Steve aren't.
Right.
But
some other ones.
Right.
At that point,
that's so interesting. Bring your family around them.
And so y'all remember when my parents came for my birthday? I was stressed out of this world. I texted them. I was like, okay, hey, I want to give y'all a heads up. You're going to meet a lot of gay people. A lot of my friends are gay. I think that's just the new age thing. But that does not mean that we love them any less, right? And they're both like, yeah. And then we all end up having a great time at Top Golf together. And so you have to be judgmental.
But
like,
they weren't talking to them like that.
But you have to be
judgmental. They were talking to me and Rodrigo.
They were
talking to me and Rodrigo.
They were talking to y'all because they're from Indy. They love everyone.
No,
loves
I ain't gonna lie. But I ain't gonna lie though. Like, because when he was talking to him, Rodrigo was talking to him, I'm like, wait a minute, I gotta talk to the fam too. Like, he can't hog him up.
Cause they couldn't talk to nobody else because you were hogging them.
Okay, get them, Lord.
No, I'm just kidding. But to answer the question, I think, yes, we are as Christians judgmental, but you have to pick and choose who to be judgmental with. Okay. If I were as judgmental as I think the church that I knew growing up, not saying my family, but just the environment that I was raised in, I would have no one here to be besides y'all and Des. And because I have no family here in Dallas, I only have my friends. I need as many of y'all as I can have, whether, I don't care who you like, because at the end of the day, that's your journey. That has nothing to do with me. I don't look at you any different. It is what it is at the end of the day.
So you did touch on being married, right? And that was one of the questions we had. Did your family did they expect you to be married by a certain time too? Because they were? And how do they feel right now?
That you're still not married.
I don't think it's that they expected me to be married by a certain age. I think my mom mourns that I'm not married. And that's because she knows that it really was my desire to be married by this age. And then I'm 6'2". I don't know if I look it sitting down, but I am 6'2". And so there's not saying a list of requirements, but I want a man who's taller than me. And then adding in, I want a man who's Christian. I prefer a man who's Black. I prefer a man who's educated. Like, just being 6'2" in itself is a struggle. Being a Christian in itself is a struggle. Finding a man who matches some of these requirements is tough. And so I think that they have accepted, okay, look, she might not be married when we thought she would be, but it will happen if it happens. Yeah. I'm more upset than they are, because she's like, it'll happen, Lauren. Like, you just have to trust in God.
It's difficult because me and Steven talk about this a lot. We're in Indiana. I feel like if you stayed there, you would be married
for sure.
But we have way different morals, values, all type of stuff than the people that we around now. So it's hard to find our community or our people within this.
Exactly.
Like it's
person.
so many
Are you a
different
person?
type of people
Or your
here.
person,
Well, so
right.
many different type of thinkings,
And
it's really hard to sift through that.
Navigate.
like exactly.
So-
navigating that.
Give yourself
and
a little
then-
grace, Lord.
I'm trying to give myself grace, but again, and I think it's easy because in the church you hear this vision, like people are standing up and they're giving testimony service. You see the Christians next to you, you see the church members next to you, and so there's this vision that you see and you expect for yourself, and then when it doesn't happen, it's like, okay, what am I doing wrong? Or a part of me honestly questions, am I struggling in my walk with God because I'm not married? Because I don't have a man who is taking me to church and who is reminding me? Because at the end
Your
of the
situation is totally different
And
than
it
your
is.
parents' situation.
And
like,
it is,
They
yeah.
are around. Like, it's so easy to find somebody in Indianapolis, like,
It
to
is.
date. You know what I'm saying?
especially
So,
back then in,
I'm
19,
saying, though,
in the
Bruh.
1900s.
so like
no
if you were
socials.
if you stayed
With no
in that,
distractions.
you would be married. It's just
For
you're
sure.
just in a whole
By-
totally
by
different
20,
environment.
24, at
Right.
least 25.
But it's
At the
tough
latest.
when you're like, okay,
When you're living it, though.
When you're living it, and
Yeah.
I'm living it, and so
Yeah.
it's especially when it's different than my family, and I am the first, so I'm like, am I the first to mess up? Like all of them had already done all this. I am literally the first woman in my family to not be married at this age. So I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And then I have 7 kids after me. And I don't want to say that they're looking up to me because we all live our own different journey, but I have 7 kids after me and they're not married and they're all past that same age too. So
Wow.
I'm like, what did I mess us up? Like, you
No.
know, so
Nah.
it's a balance.
Y'all all were just born around the same time, and the same things is happening for everybody.
Do you have a favorite church tradition that your family did, or
Or in general that you love and enjoy.
I would say I love testimony service.
Oh,
like
yeah,
I
nice.
genuinely, it got a little out of hand sometimes. I remember there was one lady, she would literally stand up and then go into full-blown song before she did her testimony. Loved her to death. Wonder how she's doing. But
She was going through some
I
things.
missed that. Like I loved hearing, because growing up, I would hear that and be like, did he really make a miracle for you? Like he really did, like something really happened for you. And now that I'm older and know, wow, like he really did, because he did that same for me. And so I don't think if I had grown up with testimony service, I would have been as appreciative of God as I am today. So that was one thing that I wish the church would bring back, with restrictions, but I did love that. And then just the fact that everyone in my family has served a role at that church. I sang on the praise team. My aunt sang on the praise team. My mom was on the ministry. Like all of us, whether it was cleaning toilets, like we were a family, but we I think really humbled ourselves to show up for the community of that church too.
for sure of Indianapolis, really?
For sure, absolutely. And,
Yeah.
and to wrap it up, so what do you want to tell people about church kids that you think they should know?
That not every church kid is the same, and that especially with, like, you hear the Church Girl song by Beyonce. I don't think I'm a church girl like Beyonce, the song.
got you.
I'm a church kid. I'm
Okay.
genuinely just a kid who loves God and loves being at church. And so I think people need to give, yes, them grace, and we're all humans at the end of the day. So don't have expectations for me. Don't treat me different or act different around me. That's one of my biggest pet peeves, is when people find out who I am and they're like, oh, I gotta act all pretty. No, please don't. Just be yourself, because at the end of the day, we are still humans, but also be respectful. Like, that's what I want us, other people to know. And if you know I'm struggling as a Christian and as a church kid, don't tempt me. Don't
Got you.
lead me any further on that journey. So.
And this is SawCast. Thank you so much for watching.
y'all.
Like, share, subscribe. Thank you for being here.
Of
Lauren.
course, thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it. You gave us some really good insight, and I'm just glad that we got to you know, get closer to you in these last few years. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like it was like a full circle thing.
Even during this cast too, I feel like a little closer, because that's a part of the reason why I like cast, is because we also get to learn more about, you know, everybody who's on here, and with us learning more about one of our friends is kind of awesome, because like you said, it's like a full circle.
Yes.
Yeah. And so we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Thank you for having me.